All right, guys, welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to tell you why you keep making that leap into the new version of the person you want to be, and why you keep falling back into old ways, why you sit in the pain of the procrastination, and why you're avoiding giving into your purpose and being the person who does the thing. This is going to be a great episode. You're going to find it comforting and challenging in equal measure. What else? Let's go. Okay, let's start with this. There is a straight line through to the life that you're trying to build. If you imagine you're on one side of the river, on the other side of the river, that is the result. That's where you're trying to go. But to get there, you've got to cross the rapids. In a business sense, the way we do this is not in one big leap or one big crazy jump. We do it by going across stepping stones or building a bridge and crossing the bridge. In business, it looks like a series of projects executed in order. You can't skip the projects, you can't avoid the projects. The projects go in a particular order. If you want to be successful in business, you've got to pull back and ask, what am I trying to do here? What is my end game? Where am I trying to get to? What is the outcome I'm trying to achieve? And then you need a strategy. The strategy is the line. It's the approach that you choose. So if we think about crossing that river, I could build a bridge. I could use stepping stones. I could rent a boat and go across in the boat, right? Whatever you choose, it's a series of projects that have to happen. But you have to realize in business and in life, you can't be in the boat and on the stepping stones at the same time. You cannot run two strategies in your business simultaneously because they use different resources and they put you in two different places at once. So you've got to think, what's the vision? What is the strategy or the straight line through? And then what are the projects I have to execute in order to make this happen? Now, I'll tell you something you're not going to want to hear. Not all of these projects are going to be fun. Not all of these projects are going to be like, yeah, I'm living my purpose. I feel so lit up. I'm making a living doing what I love. Because some of those projects are going to be processes and admin and stepping back. And some of them might even cost you more money than you make. But without them, you can't progress. And I'm going to give you some examples of those in the video. But what I really want to talk to you about today, it isn't even the projects. It's the gap in between the projects. It's what happens when people make a leap from one stone to the next. This is what marks out people who make it versus people who don't. We all make the leap. We all make the jump. But what's the difference between the person who lands the jump and stays and progresses versus the person who falls back, who fails, who self-sabotages? That's what I'm going to try and show you in today's episode and unpack where it's coming from and show you how to remedy it so you can stick that landing and make it to the next project. Does that sound good? Let's dive in. The best way for me to show you this is to give you a couple of examples. So when I think about the straight line through and the vision for my life and what I'm trying to do, I've got a big vision and a big strategy. I can't be the person I am today and hope to achieve that vision, but I can't equally just leap into the new version of myself. I'm sure if I was a more extreme manifestor, I could do that. But the way life is that, I don't know about you guys, but I've got a mortgage and bills to pay and promises I've made. So it's more incremental than a big, crazy leap. Now, when I started out in business and I was younger in business and more eager-eyed and more immature and more naive, I did stupid things like on a whim decided, shut that business down, start a new business, sabotage this, break it, burn the boats and do something else. And what I realized is I was poorly resourced in the business and in myself. In order to make the leap, you've got to resource the business and you've got to resource yourself. So that was crazy, it was silly, but without it, I wouldn't have this insight or this knowledge or this wisdom that I've got now. So very recently, I had to make the jump from being a solo entrepreneur, running this business myself, doing all the content myself, all the events myself. So I had to ask myself, of all the things I'm doing, what one thing could I get off my plate to really free myself up to make the next jump? But I can't dump it and I can't just outsource it. I need something rigorous. I need something that I can lean on. I need someone better than me to do it. The decision I made was to hire a full-time video editor, and that sounds nuts. I'm a speaker, I'm a business coach, I've got a marketing agency, and the first hire is a video editor. Sounds a bit crazy, doesn't it? But it is so central to my strategy and the work that I do with clients. It was the obvious answer. So I went through the process, write the role profile, write the description, put it on the job board, start promoting it, start talking about it. The CVs started coming in. I started shortlisting the CVs. So I interviewed this first guy and he was brilliant. And I thought, yep, you've got the job. And I honestly was one step away from just saying, you're the guy, you're it. But I said, I've got one more interview today, so just hang fire. I'm going to do this other interview, take the weekend, and then I'll come back and let you know. The second interview I had was with a guy called Chris, and the interview was at 2:00, and I didn't want to cancel it because he might have been waiting all day for it and be nervous and anticipate it. So I thought, I'm going to honour the interview. So I did the interview, but honestly going in, I thought, in my mind, I've already hired, you're not going to get the job. So I started speaking to him and I was like, so tell me a bit about yourself. You work for the BBC? Interesting. You love YouTube and data? Interesting. Tell me more, tell me more. The more I went on, the better the conversation got. This guy before the interview went into my YouTube channel, looked at the analytics and emailed me better thumbnails than what I had and said, you see this thumbnail? Here's what I would do with it and here is why. Show, don't tell. The guy's nailing it. So as the interview progresses, I'm thinking, hang on, he's pretty good. He might be a contender here. The following week, I was doing a Dare to Grow live event up in Newcastle. So I messaged Chris and I thought, I wonder if he could come to the event and see what it's all about. I knew that he was in the area. I knew that he was working in town that day. I thought, let's see if he does it. So I messaged and said, hey, Chris, how you doing? I'm doing this event. Why don't you come and see what it's all about? He replied saying, oh, Lisa, I've got a shift. I can't. I'm so sorry. And I thought, oh, man. And I was deliberating. By the time I got to the event, he said, Lisa, I've moved my shift. I'll be there. I thought, man, this guy's getting the job. So he turned up on the day, met everyone. He was great, chatting to people, asking questions. We had a little conversation. And I said, you know what, Chris, you've got the job. You're brilliant. Well done. When can you start? That was the leap. Can you see it? If you have a straight line through, my first project was use video, use marketing, use this whole show, don't tell approach to really build a brand, build a reputation, make sales, get to a certain revenue. My second project was to put my foot on the gas on sales, go do these events, go crazy with social media, really use ads to grow, get all the revenue in because I knew I had to resource the jump, which was get cash in, to hire, to create enough revenue to bring somebody else into the team. But that wasn't even the jump that scared me. The jump that scared me was then, okay, make the commitment, hire somebody else and be responsible for somebody else's livelihood, for somebody else's wages, for somebody else's payments in their life. It's a big deal. So the leap happened when I went from I'm going to hire, I am interviewing, that's okay, that's safe, to I have offered a guy a job and he's now left his other job and told everyone he's coming to work in this business. I woke up on the Saturday and I felt sick. What have you done? What have you done? You had it cushy, Lisa. You had all this space. You had all this security. You had all this freedom. What were you thinking? Fear of what could go wrong. And instead of in that moment self-sabotaging and saying, hi, Chris, imagine. Hi, Chris. And by the way, he's editing this video in real time. Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris. I'm sorry. I think I've made a mistake. I've had an absolute panic attack. I've made a leap from one stone to the next. It turns out I wasn't ready. No, I am ready. And I've been preparing for a long time for this. These are the moments that make or break an entrepreneur. Do you let your old mindset, your old vibration, your old way of thinking, your fear, pull you back to poor behavior, which of course leads to poor outcomes? Or do you dig in and say, this is the leap. I'm in the pain of the leap. I'm in the gap of this leap. I've resourced it in the business. I need to resource it in myself. You will never know ever how it feels to make the leap until you make the leap. You'll never know what it feels like to stand on stage in front of 100 people without notes until you do it. You'll never know what it feels like to put yourself forward for an award or a TEDx or a book proposal until you do it. You have an idea of it, but the reality of it is just disgusting. It is the worst feeling in the world because you go beyond your ability, you go beyond your reputation, you go beyond your own vibration. That's what growth is. It's expansion beyond what you are right now. And it's expansion beyond how you're reflected in the world, how people see you, what people understand about you. So I woke up on this Saturday. I said, Lisa, just take a breath. Everything's good. You've been planning for this. You've been resourcing for this. You can do it. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. Went to sleep, woke up the next day, felt worse. Anxiety, fear again. What if I fail? What if this doesn't work? Now, again, this is where a lot of entrepreneurs take the easy route. It feels like the easy route. They reverse their decision. They play small or they make the leap. And then the activities don't match the leap. So they can't stick the landing. So what I had to do was take myself away to a little coffee shop, decaf rather than caffeinated coffee on this occasion. I was already wired enough. And think, Lisa, what is it going to take in you to pull this off? How do you need to talk to yourself? What projects do you need to be doing? What behaviours will demonstrate that you are going to stick this landing? And I wrote them down. And instead of getting into the pain of fear, regret, procrastination, I got into the pain of the work. This is big. This is really big. There is the pain that comes from avoidance, from procrastination, from fear, from getting in your head. It's all very in your head and not real. It will pull you down and hold you back more than anything I can explain. The alternative still hurts, but it's the pain of the work. And this pain actually feels like vulnerability, risk, unknown territory. This is where you think, okay, for me to stick this landing, I need to show up and do a launch. I need to show up with content. I need to do this. I need to do that. What's the difference? One is procrastination, fear, avoidance, and you're soothing yourself to go back to a place of comfort. You don't want to go back to a place of comfort. The other one is stepping up. It's one of the thought processes, the behaviors, the ideas, the stories, the work that I need to focus on in order to move forward. That still hurts. And when I'm working with people one-to-one, I honestly find that they're looking to me to give them the one phrase that's going to change their mindset, the process or methodology that's going to change the way they think. And I've been saying to people lately, I can't do that. I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. I want you to be in pain. Imagine me being your coach. I'm horrible. I want you to be in pain because you have to be in pain for us to see where you are and to see what's going to be required. Like without the leap, without getting into that pain cave, that valley between the two stepping stones, you're never going to know how you have to resource the jump, both in your business and in yourself. So you have to get there. But when you're there, just take a breath. Take a breath. Don't break it. Don't self-sabotage. And under no circumstances, go and ask someone who is not in the arena what you should do. Don't ask them. Ask someone who's made the leap. Go to the places where people are talking about how you move through it and see what they tell you. They won't say to you, take the weekend off, watch TV, it'll be fine, avoid the work, that'll do it, go back on your decision. They won't say that. They'll say to you, well done, you absolute crackerpot. Now, what is the work required? Okay, you need to do this, but you don't know how. Let's figure it out. You need to change your mindset, do some healing, go to therapy. Fine, let's do it. You need to pull back, take your time here. Fine. They'll talk about how you have to lean into the work and the projects to become that person, to do the healing, the mindset work, to become that person. They won't talk about going back. Do you see that difference? The pain of procrastination and avoidance versus the pain of the work, the pain of the project, the pain of healing. They lead to two very different outcomes and two very different entrepreneurs. So what I would say to you before we end this episode is, if you understand what I'm saying and you've maybe been there and fallen back, or you're in this gap right now, what I would say to you is pull back, pull back. This is your opportunity to pull back. It's such a gift to get perspective. What's the vision? What's the intention? What's the outcome? Where are you trying to get to? Put your straight line on a piece of paper, outcome up here, and think, what are the projects in order that I have to pull off in order to resource this move in myself and in the business? Sometimes you want to hire, but you can't because you're in debt. Sometimes you want to outsource to somebody, but you can't because you haven't got the capacity. Sometimes you want to quit the job you're doing and go all in on your business, but you can't because you haven't got enough revenue. The leap isn't from, hey, I'm struggling, to absolute freaking fantasy. No, the leap is from, I am struggling, I'm at capacity, I don't want this, I want to be here. What's the step in between? It might be get out of debt. It might be get your foot on the gas to really drive up your revenue. It might be to get a job on the side. Sounds crazy, to offset some of the risk, to do easy work, to offset the risk so that you can resource the move. But there is a straight line through to the outcome you're trying to live. And if you wake up every day and go, what's on my list? Who's emailed me? What's on social? What's happening in the news? You'll never make it to your destination because you'll be so distracted. Instead, plot the projects, give them time. How much time do they need? Half decade? A year, a quarter, and then everything else fits in around it. It's the difference from being driven by what's happening around you to actually having a vision and executing that vision, project by project, leap by leap, resourcing yourself and the business as you go. Guys, if you enjoyed this and you want to hear more about this and do the work with me, I've got an amazing membership called Be The Person. It's not about your business and your marketing and your sales. It's about the mindset work we've got to do. It's about the healing work we've got to do to be the person who does the thing. If you want to find out more about this membership, click the link around this episode and I'll see you in there. It's about the mindset, the healing. Oh God, that was too cheesy. Don't do that.